forward a little, he fell prostrate and prayed, saying, Father, if it is possible, let this cup pass away from me. Yet not as I will, but as you will. Then he came to the disciples and found them sleeping. And he said to Peter, Could you not then watch 1 hour with me, watch and pray, that you may not enter into temptation? The spirit indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak. Again, a second time he went away and prayed, saying, My Father, if this cup cannot pass away unless I drink it, your will be done. And he came again and found them sleeping, for their eyes were heavy. And leaving them, he went back again and prayed a third time, saying the same words over. Then he came to his disciples and said to them, Sleep on now and take your rest. Behold, the hour is at hand, when the Son of Man will be betrayed into the hands of sinners. Rise, let us go. Behold, he who betrays me is at hand. And while he was yet speaking, behold, Judas, one of the 12, came, and with him a great crowd with swords and clubs from the chief priests and elders of the people. Now his betrayers had given them a sign, saying, Whomever I kiss, that he is. Lay hold on him. And he went straight up to Jesus and said, Hail, Rabbi, and kissed him. And Jesus said to him, Friend, for what purpose have you come? Then they came forward and set hands on Jesus and took him. And behold, one of those who were with Jesus reached out his hand, drew his sword, and struck the servant of the high priest, cutting off his ear. Then Jesus said to him, Put back your sword into its place, for all those who take the sword will perish by the sword. Or do you suppose that I cannot entreat my Father, and he will even now furnish me with more than 12 legions of angels? Now then are the scriptures to be fulfilled, that thus it must take place. In that hour Jesus said to the crowds, As against a robber you have come out with swords and clubs to seize me. I sat daily with you in the temple teaching, and you did not lay hands on me. Now all this was done that the scriptures of the prophets might be fulfilled. Then all the disciples left him and fled. Now those who had taken Jesus led him away to Caiaphas, the high priest, where the scribes and the elders had gathered together. But Peter was following him at a distance, even to the courtyard of the high priest. And he went in and sat with the attendants to see the end. Now the chief priests and all the Sanhedrin were seeking false witness against Jesus, that they might put him to death. But they found none. Though many false witnesses came forward. But last of all 2 false witnesses came forward and said, This man said, I am able to destroy the temple of God and to rebuild it after 3 days. Then the high priest, standing up, said to Jesus, Do you make no answer to the things that these men refer against you? But Jesus kept silent. And the high priest said to him, I adjure you by the living God, that you tell us whether you are the Christ, the Son of God. Jesus said to him, You have said it. Nevertheless, I say to you, hereafter you shall see the Son of Man sitting at the right hand of the power and coming upon the clouds of heaven. Then the high priest tore his garments, saying, He has blasphemed. What further need have we of witnesses? Behold, now you have heard the blasphemy. What do you think? And they answered and said, He is liable to death. Then they spat on his face and buffeted him, while others struck his face with the palms of their hands, saying, Prophesy to us, O Christ, who is it that struck you? Now Peter was sitting outside in the courtyard, and a maidservant came up to him and said, You also were with Jesus the Galilean. But he denied it before them all, saying, I do not know what you are saying. And when he had gone out of the gateway, another maid saw him and said to those who were there, This man also was with Jesus of Nazareth. And again he denied it with an oath, I do not know the man. And after a little while, the bystanders came up and said to Peter, Surely you also are one of them, for even your speech betrays you. Then he began to curse and to swear that he did not know the man. And at that moment a cock crowed. And Peter remembered the word that Jesus said, "Before a cock crows, you will deny me 3 times." And he went out and wept bitterly. Now, when morning came, all the chief priests and the elders and the people took counsel together against Jesus in order to put him to death. And they bound him and led him away and delivered him to Pontius Pilate, the procurator. Then Judas, who betrayed him, when he saw that he was condemned, repented and brought back the 30 pieces of silver to the chief priests and the elders, saying, "I have sinned in betraying innocent blood." But they said, "What is that to us? See to it yourself." And he flung the pieces of silver into the temple and withdrew, and went away and hanged himself with a halter. And the chief priests took the pieces of silver and said, "It is not lawful to put them into the treasury, seeing that it is the price of blood." And after they had consulted together, they bought with them the potter's field as a burial place for strangers. For this reason, that field has been called even to this day Isaldama, that is a field of blood. Then what was spoken through Jeremias the prophet was fulfilled. And they took the 30 pieces of silver, the price of him who was priced, upon whom the children of Israel set a price, and they gave them for the potter's field, as the Lord directed me. Now Jesus stood before the procurator, and the procurator asked him, saying, "Are you the king of the Jews?" Jesus said to him, "You say it." And when he was accused by the chief priests and the elders, he made no answer. Then Pilate said to him, "Do you not hear how many things they refer against you?" But he did not answer him a single word, so that the procurator wondered exceedingly. Now, at festival time, the procurator used to release to the crowd a prisoner, whomever they would. Now he had at that time a notorious prisoner called Barabbas. Therefore, when they had gathered together, Pilate said, "Whom do you wish that I release to you, Barabbas or Jesus, who is called Christ?" For he knew that they had delivered him up out of envy. Now, as he was sitting on the judgment seat, his wife sent to him, saying, "Have nothing to do with that just man, for I have suffered many things in a dream today because of him." But the chief priests and the elders persuaded the crowd to ask for Barabbas and to destroy Jesus. But the procurator addressed them and said to them, "Which of the two do you wish that I release to you?" And they said, "Barabbas." Pilate said to them, "What then am I to do with Jesus, who is called Christ?" They all said, "Let him be crucified." The procurator said to them, "Why, what evil has he done?" But they kept crying out the more, saying, "Let him be crucified." Now Pilate, seeing that he was doing no good, but rather that a riot was breaking out, took water and washed his hands in sight of the crowd, saying, "I am innocent of the blood of this just man. See to it yourselves." And all the people answered and said, "His blood be on us and on our children." Then he released to them Barabbas, but Jesus is scourged and delivered to them to be crucified. Then the soldiers of the procurator took Jesus into the praetorium and gathered together about him the whole court. And they stripped him and put on him a scarlet cloak, and plaiting a crown of thorns, they put it upon his head, and a reed into his right hand, and bending the knee before him, they mocked him, saying, "Hail, King of the Jews!" And they spat on him, and took the reed, and kept striking him on the head. And when they had mocked him, they took the cloak off him, and put his own garments on him, and led him away to crucify him. Now, as they went out, they found a man of Cyrene named Simon. Him they forced to take up his cross, and they came to the place called Golgotha, that is, the place of the skull. And they gave him wine to drink mixed with gall, but when he had tasted it, he would not drink. And after they had crucified him, they divided his garments, casting lots, to fulfill what was spoken through the prophets. They divided my garments among them, and upon my vesture they cast lots. And sitting down, they kept watching over him. And they put above his head the charge against him, written, "This is Jesus, the King of the Jews." Then 2 robbers were crucified with him, one on his right hand and one on his left. Now the passerby were jeering at him, shaking their heads and saying, "You who will destroy the temple and in 3 days build it up again, save yourself. If you are the Son of God, come down from the cross." In like manner the chief priests, with the scribes and the elders mocking, said, "He saved others, himself he cannot save. If he is the King of Israel, let him come down now from the cross, and we will believe him. He trusted in God, let him deliver him now, if he wants him. For he said, I am the Son of God." And the robbers also, who were crucified with him, reproached him in the same way. Now from the 6th hour there was darkness over the whole land until the 9th hour. But above the 9th hour Jesus cried out with a loud voice, saying, "Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani," that is, my God, why have you forsaken me?" And some of the bystanders, on hearing this, said, "This man is calling Elias." And immediately one of them ran, and taking a sponge, soaked it in common wine, put it on a reed, and offered it to him to drink. But the rest said, "Wait, let us see whether Elias is coming to save him." But Jesus again cried out with a loud voice, and gave up his spirit. And behold, the curtain of the temple was torn in two from top to bottom, and the earth quaked, and the rocks were rent, and the tombs were opened, and many bodies of the saints who had fallen asleep arose, and coming forth out of the tombs after his resurrection, they came into the holy city and appeared to many. Now when the centurion and those who were with him, keeping guard over Jesus, saw the earthquake and the things that were happening, they were very much afraid, and they said, "Truly he was a Son of God." And many women were there looking on from a distance, who had followed Jesus from Galilee, ministered to him. Among them were Mary Magdalene, and Mary the mother of James and Joseph, and the mother of the son of Zebedee. Now when it was evening, there came a certain rich man of Arimathea, Joseph by name, who was himself a disciple of Jesus. He went to Pilate and asked for the body of Jesus. Then Pilate ordered the body to be given up. And Joseph, taking the body, wrapped it in a clean linen cloth, and laid it in the new tomb, which he had hewn out in the rock. Then he rolled a large stone to the entrance of the tomb and departed.
Just some announcement for this week, this Holy Week. Today it is Palm Sunday. At the end of this Mass we have another Low Mass at 9 a.m. and at 10:30 a.m., not 11, 10:30 we will have the blessing of the palms, followed by the High Mass, as usual. It is why we will not have catechism today. On Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday, 2 Masses as usual at 6:50 a.m. and 5:30 p.m. From Monday, Thursday, it will be different every day. We will start the morning at 7:30 a.m. with the office of Matins and Lauds. If you want to attend these beautiful ceremonies of the Holy Week, you are of course most welcome. We'll have a confession during the day, especially from 3 to 5:30 p.m. At 5:30 p.m. we will have the Vesperal Mass with the washing of the feet, the procession of the Blessed Sacrament, the stripping of the altar, and the adoration during the night. Good Friday, the morning is the same as Monday, Thursday. We will have the office of Matin and Lauds at 7:30 a.m. We'll also have some confession from 2 to 4 p.m., the Way of the Cross at 3 p.m., and the solemn liturgy, the liturgical function at 4 p.m. For Holy Saturday, Matins and Laude at 7:30 a.m., confession from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. in the evening, the Easter Vigil at 10 p.m., followed by the High Mass of the Resurrection. And next Sunday, it is Easter Day, the Feast of the Resurrection of our Lord. We will have Masses as usual at 8, 9, and 11, but no catechism on this day. Some other announcements. We'll have a youth retreat this week for the Holy Week. It is for the youth. For more information, you can contact Mr. Gabriel Kiteka. About the confessions during this Holy Week, kindly take note that the priest will not be hearing confession during the Vesperal Mass on Holy Thursday and during the Solemn Liturgy on Good Friday week. We are not available, we are too busy at this moment. It is why it is good to plan for a good confession, knowing that we will not be available at this time. You can come anytime during the week. You can go today. We have confession during the Mass. You can come anytime during the week. Just plan to make a good confession during this week. You can also buy in the bookshop a special booklet to follow all the ceremony of this Holy Week. You will find them in the bookshop outside of the church. This Good Friday, it is a day of fast and abstinence. It is compulsory for all the adults from 18 to 60 years old. So let us not forget to fast this Good Friday. To fast means to have one normal meal, for example, for lunch during the day, and a small collation the morning and in the evening, maximum. Another announcement for the lady group. The lady group will assist for the cleaning of the church and compound for Easter next Saturday from 10 a.m. You are most welcome to come and help the sisters for this day. Remember also the commandment of the Church regarding the annual confession and Easter communion. It is an obligation, so it's not an option. It is an obligation for every Catholic, for all the Catholics, to receive Holy Communion once a year at Easter time, which means within 2 weeks before or after Easter. A good communion presupposes a good confession because, of course, to receive the Holy Eucharist, we need to be in a state of grace. If we are in a state of mortal sin, we cannot receive the Holy Eucharist. Meaning, we need to go maybe for a good confession before this good communion. It is why the priest will be available during the full week. Let us think about this commandment of the Church. To miss this commandment is a mortal sin. On Thursday night and Saturday night, the parishioner will be able to find accommodation here in some classroom at Holy Cross. Please come with your own blanket if you wish to stay here during the night. Tea will be available, but food will not be available. You can come with your own food if you want. About food, tea and snack will be given after the Easter midnight Mass. And lastly, the Ladies' Club will be hosting the movie The Passion of Christ on Good Friday at 6 p.m. in the school building. The prizes to follow this movie is 50 shillings for the children less than 10 years old, 100 shillings for those who are between 6 and 18 years old, and 200 shillings for the adults. This is part of their Catholic Movie Night series initiative for the church fundraising and also for the promotion of wholesome Catholic entertainment. And the last word about catechism. The catechism for children will be paused up to the 20th of April. Credo in unum Deum, Patrem omnipotentem, factorem celi et terre, visibilium omnium et invisibilium, et in unum Dominum Iesum Christum Filium Dei unigenitum, et ex patrinatum ante omnia saecula, Deum de Deo lumen de lumine, Deum verum de Deo vero, genitum non factum consubstantialem patri, perquem omnia facta sunt, qui propter nos homines et propter nostram salutem descendi de celis. Et incarnatus est de Spiritus Sancto, ex Maria Virgine, et homo factus est, crucifixus et siam pro nobis sub Pontio Pilato, passus et sepultus est. Et resurrexit tertia die secundum scripturas, et ascendit in celum sedet ad dexteram Patris, et iterum venturus est cum gloria, judicare vivos et mortuos, cuius regni non erit finis. Et in spiritum sanctum Dominum et vivificantem, qui ex patre filioque procedit, qui cum patre et filio simul adoratur, et cum glorificatur, qui locutus esper prophetas, et unam sanctam catholicam et apostolicam ecclesiam, confiteorum baptisma, in remissionem peccatorum, et expecto resurrectionem mortuorum, et vitam venturi seculi. Amen. Dominus vobiscum. Oremus. Improperium expectavit cor meum et miseriam, et sustinui qui simul mecum contristaretur et non fuit, consolantem meque sivi et non inveni, et dederunt in escam meam fel et in siti mea potaverunt me accetu. Orate, fratres. Omnipotentem. Per omnia saecula saeculorum. Dominus vobiscum. Sursum corda. Gratias agamus Domino Deo nostrum. Veredignum etius tum est cum et salutare nostibus semper et ubique gratias agere. Domine sancte pater omnipotens aeterne Deus, qui salutem humani generis in igno crucis constituisi, ut unde mors oriebatur in de vita resurgeret, et qui in ligno vincebat in igno quoque vinceretur, per Christum Dominum nostrum. Perque maiestatem tuam laudant angeli adorant dominationes tremunt potestates, celi celorumque virtutes ac beata seraphim, socia exultatione concelebrant. Cum quibus et nostras voces ut admiti iubeas deprecamur, supplici confessione dicentes. Sanctus, Sanctus, Sanctus Dominus Deus Sabaoth, plenis unceliae terra gloria tua, Hosanna in excelsis. Benedictus qui venit in nomine Domini, Hosanna in excelsis.
Nabiscoque peccatoribus.
Per omnia saecula saeculorum. Oremus. Precepti salutaribus humanitiae divina institutione formatia audemus dicere. Pater noster, qui es in celis sanctificetur nomen tuum, adveniat regnum tuum, fiat voluntas tua sicut in cielo et in terra. Panem nostrum quotidianum da nobis hodie, et dimite nobis debita nostra, sicut et nos dimitimus debitoribus nostris, et ne nos inducas in tentationem. Per omnia saecula saeculorum. Pax Domini sit semper vobiscum. Agnus Dequitollis peccata mundi, miserere nobis. Agnus Dequitollis peccata mundi, miserere nobis. Agnus Dequitollis peccata mundi, dona nobis pacem. Domine nam sum Deus. Domine nam sum Deus. Domine nam sum Deus. Miseretur vestri omnipotens Deus et emissis peccatis vestris traducat vos ad vitam aeternam. Dulgentiam absolutionem et remissionem peccatorum vestrorum, tribat vobis omnipotens et misericords Dominus. Ecce agnus Dei ecce qui tollit peccata mundi, Domine non sum dignus ut intre subtectum meum, sed tantum dic verbo senabitur anima mea. Domine non sum dignus ut intre subtectum meum, sed tantum dic verbo senabitur anima mea. Domine non sum dignus ut intre subtectum meum, sed tantum dic verbo senabitur anima mea. Pater, si non potesti calix transire nisi bibam illum, fiat voluntas tua. Dominus vobiscum. Oremus. Per huius Domine operatione mysterii et vitia nostra purgentur et iusta desideria compliantur. Per Dominum nostrum Iesum Christum filium tuum, cutecum vivit et regnat in unitate Spiritus Sancti Deus per omnia saecula saeculorum. Dominus vobiscum. Ite missa est. Benedicat vos omnipotens Deus, Pater et Filius et Spiritus Sanctus. Dominus vobiscum. Sequentia Sancti Evangelii secundum Matteum.
At that time, when Jesus drew near to Jerusalem and came to Bethphage on the Mount of Olives, he sent 2 disciples, saying to them, "Go into the village opposite you, and immediately you will find an ass tied and a colt with her. Loose them and bring them to me. And if anyone say anything to you, you shall say that the Lord has need of them, and immediately they will send them." Now this was done that what was spoken through the prophet might be fulfilled. Tell the daughter of Zion, "Behold, your king comes to you, meek and seated upon an ass and upon a colt, the foal of a beast of burden." So the disciples went and did as Jesus had decreed them, and they brought the ass and the colt, laid their cloaks on them, and made him sit thereupon. And most of the crowd spread their cloaks upon the road, while others were cutting branches from the trees and throwing them on the road. And the crowds that went before him and those that followed kept crying out, saying, "Hosanna of the Son of David, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord."
Ave Regina Caelorum, Ave Domina Angelorum, Salve radix, salve pota, ex qua mundo lux est tota, Gaude Virgo gloriosa, super omnes speciosa, Vale o valde decora, et pro nobis Christum exo